The broken navigator web had seen plenty of impossible repair jobs in his 15 years working the gravity drives on Station Meridian. Ships came through this sector with cracked containment fields, destabilized quantum cores, and drives that should have exploded light years ago. He fixed them all because that was what he did. He made broken things work again, but nothing had prepared him for the crystalline being that floated unconscious in the medical bay observation window. The station doctor, a four-armed Kellian named Dross, stood beside him with all four hands clasped in what Marcus had learned was a gesture of helplessness. The creature beyond the glass was unlike anything Marcus had encountered. Her body was translucent, composed of living crystal that refracted the medical lights into rainbow patterns across the walls. She was roughly humanoid in shape, perhaps 7 feet tall, with elongated limbs and a head that tapered into delicate crystalline points. Inside her chest, Marcus could see what looked like a shattered geode where organs should be. Her name is Velsha, Dross explained, his voice carrying the clicking undertone of his species.
She is Lumini, one of the Navigator caste.
They manipulate gravitational fields with specialized organs in their core structure. She was guiding a transport through the Helix belt when a rogue meteor struck her ship. The impact fractured her gravity organs beyond biological repair. Marcus pressed closer to the glass. The shattered structure in Velsha's chest pulsed with faint light, each pulse weaker than the last. It reminded him of a failing power core, counting down to complete shutdown. What are the Lumini doing to help her? Dross's four hands separated in what Marcus recognized as dismay. They are doing nothing. In their culture, a navigator who cannot navigate is considered void-touched. They believe the universe itself has rejected her. Her own people are waiting for her to die so they can return her crystalline remains to their homeworld. Marcus felt anger flash hot in his chest. That's murder dressed up as culture. Perhaps, Dross said carefully. But it is their way. We cannot interfere with species-specific customs without creating diplomatic incidents. Station Meridian depends on peaceful relations with dozens of species. We cannot afford to offend the Lumini Consortium. Marcus stared at Velsha's fading light. He thought about his daughter Emma back on Earth, how she had been born with a defective heart valve. The doctor said she would not survive. They were ready to let her go peacefully, but Marcus had not accepted that answer. He researched, he fought, he found an experimental procedure that other parents were too afraid to try. Emma was 18 now, studying xenobiology at university, alive because someone had refused to accept impossible. I want to see her medical scans, Marcus said quietly. Dross's eyes widened, all four pupils dilating simultaneously. Marcus, you are a gravity drive technician, not a xenobiologist. Even our best medical staff cannot help her. The complexity of Lumini physiology is beyond current medical science. I don't plan to treat her like a medical case, Marcus replied. I plan to treat her like a broken machine that needs new parts. Over the next 3 days, Marcus barely left his workstation. He studied every file he could access about Lumini biology, which was frustratingly little. The Lumini were intensely private about their physiology. What he learned painted a picture of a species that existed at the intersection of biology and physics in ways that defied human understanding. Their crystalline bodies grew from a central core structure, similar to how crystals formed in nature, but unlike inert crystals, Lumini were alive, conscious, capable of thought and emotion. Their nervous system consisted of photonic pathways that transmitted information through light, rather than electrical impulses. Most fascinating were their gravity organs, specialized crystalline structures that could generate and manipulate gravitational fields. This ability made them the galaxy's most sought-after navigators, capable of plotting courses through gravitational anomalies that would destroy conventional ships. Velsha's gravity organs were not just damaged. They were shattered into hundreds of fragments like safety glass after an impact. Even if Lumini medicine could regrow the structures, the process would take decades, and Velsha would die long before then. But Marcus did not think about regrowing the organs. He thought about replacing them. He began designing a hybrid system that combined quantum gravity generators with crystalline interface matrices. The technology existed separately. Humans had been using quantum gravity manipulation for decades in their ships. The Lumini used organic versions in their bodies. Marcus's innovation was finding a way to make the two systems communicate. The design took shape slowly. He worked through the night cycles, fueled by coffee and determination. The gravity generators would need to be small enough to fit within Velsha's chest cavity, but powerful enough to replicate the functions of her destroyed organs. The interface matrices would translate the mechanical output into something her crystalline nervous system could understand and control. On the fourth day, Marcus received a message from Dross. Velsha had regained consciousness. She was aware of her situation and her people's decision. She had one request. She wanted to meet the human who was studying her medical files so intensely. Marcus entered the medical bay with his tablet tucked under his arm. Velsha floated in a containment field that supported her weakened body. Up close, she was breathtaking. Her crystalline form caught every light source and transformed it into subtle colors that danced across her surface. Her face, while alien, held an expression Marcus recognized. Sadness mixed with resignation. "You are Marcus Webb," Velsha said. Her voice did not come from a mouth, but resonated directly from her crystalline structure, creating a sound like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. "Dr. Dross tells me you wish to save my life." "I wish to try," Marcus replied honestly. "I have an idea, but I need your permission and your cooperation. What I'm proposing has never been attempted before." Light pulsed through Velsha's body, starting from her core and radiating outward. Marcus would learn later this was how Luminae expressed curiosity. "My people have already declared me void-touched. In their eyes, I'm already dead. What could you possibly do that would be worse than this slow fading?" Marcus pulled up his designs on the tablet and turned it so Velsha could see. "I want to replace your gravity organs with mechanical versions. You would become part machine, part Luminae, a hybrid. I don't know if it will work. I don't know if your body will accept the integration, but I know doing nothing means you die, and I'm not ready to accept that." Velsha studied the designs, and Marcus saw light flicker rapidly through her form. He wondered if that was how she processed complex information. When she finally spoke again, her voice carried harmonics that had not been there before. "You would make me into something that has never existed, neither fully Luminae nor fully machine. I would give you a chance to live," Marcus said. "What you become after that is up to you." The lights in Velsha's chest pulsed stronger, and for the first time since the meteor strike, they did not fade. "Then I accept your offer, Marcus Webb. If I must become something new to survive, then let us create something worth surviving for." Marcus felt the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. He had promised to try, and now he had to deliver. He spent the next week gathering components, calling in favors, and quietly acquiring technology that was not technically illegal, but was definitely not approved for this kind of use. Every piece had to be perfect because there would be no second chances. The night before the procedure, Marcus stood again at the observation window. Velsha floated in her containment field, her lights dimmer than before. Time was running out. He pressed his hand against the glass and whispered a promise. "Tomorrow we try the impossible. Tomorrow we prove that broken does not mean finished." Inside the medical bay, Velsha's lights pulsed once in acknowledgement. She had heard him and she was ready. Together they would face the unknown, and in doing so, they would change what was possible for both their species. The impossible surgery. The black market dealer went by the name Sketch, and his shop occupied a forgotten corner of Station Meridian's lower engineering section. Marcus had dealt with him before when legitimate suppliers could not or would not provide what he needed. Sketch did not ask questions. He did not care about regulations. He cared about payment and discretion, which made him perfect for what Marcus needed. "Quantum gravity generators," Sketch said, running his clawed fingers over the components Marcus had requested. The dealer was Vexithari, a species known for their gray skin and 3 eyes arranged in a triangle on their face. Military-grade human manufacture, definitely not approved for civilian use. "You planning to build a weapon?" "I'm planning to save a life," Marcus replied, sliding a credit chip across the scarred metal counter. "Can you get them or not?" Sketch's middle eye focused on the chip, while his other 2 eyes remained fixed on Marcus. "I can get them. But there are people on this station who will ask questions if they notice these particular components going missing from inventory. You might want to work fast once you have them. How fast can you deliver?" 2 hours, Sketch said, pocketing the credit chip. "And Marcus? Whatever you're building, make sure it's worth the trouble. These components are not cheap, and neither is my silence." Marcus returned to his workshop with the components and began the delicate process of miniaturization. The quantum gravity generators were designed for ships, each unit roughly the size of his torso. He needed to compress that technology into something that could fit inside Velsha's chest cavity, which meant stripping away every non-essential element and rebuilding the core systems from scratch. He worked through the night, his hands steady despite the exhaustion pulling at his mind. The generators had to maintain perfect stability, while generating gravitational fields strong enough to replicate Lumini organ function. Too weak and they would fail. Too strong and they would tear Velsha apart from the inside. By dawn, he had created 2 units, each no larger than his fist, that pulsed with contained quantum energy. They were beautiful in their efficiency and terrifying in their potential. Marcus ran diagnostic after diagnostic, checking every connection, every power relay, every safety protocol. There could be no errors. Dr. Dross found him in the workshop surrounded by holographic displays and discarded component casings. The station commander received a message from the Lumini Consortium, Dross said, his voice tense. They are sending a delegation to retrieve Velsha. They will arrive in 3 days. 3 days, Marcus repeated, feeling his stomach tighten. That's not enough time to ensure the integration is stable. She'll need at least a week of monitoring after the procedure. Then you have a choice to make, Dross said. You can perform the surgery now and risk complications from rushing, or you can wait and let the Lumini take her. Marcus looked at the quantum generators, then back at Dross. There's a third option. We do the surgery now and we hide her recovery from the delegation. That would be in direct violation of diplomatic protocols, Dross said, but his tone suggested he had already considered this option himself. If discovered, both of us could lose our positions. The station commander might even ban you from Meridian entirely. Emma was worth risking everything for, Marcus said quietly. So is Velsha. Dross was silent for a long moment. Then all 4 of his hands moved in a gesture that Marcus had never seen before. Later, he would learn it meant solemn agreement. Then we proceed. But we will need help. This surgery requires more than just the 2 of us. The help came from unexpected sources. Sketch volunteered his knowledge of illegal medical procedures. A Quellan engineer named Bristle offered her expertise in crystalline structures. Even the station's head of security, a gruff human woman named Captain Santos, agreed to look the other way during the critical hours. They converted Marcus's workshop into a makeshift surgical theater. Medical equipment borrowed or stolen filled every available surface. Velsha was transferred under cover of a routine maintenance check, her containment field disguised as a piece of malfunctioning equipment being taken for repair. This is insane, Bristle said, her quills vibrating with nervousness as she helped position Velsha on the surgical platform. I have worked with crystalline structures my entire career, and I can tell you that what you are attempting should not be possible. Good thing I don't always listen to should and should not, Marcus replied, pulling on sterile gloves. He looked down at Velsha, whose lights pulsed weakly. Are you ready? Velsha's voice resonated through the workshop, weaker than before but still clear. I have been ready to either live or die since the meteor struck. Let us discover which universe intends for me. Marcus made the first incision with a laser scalpel designed for crystalline cutting. Velsha's body did not bleed in the traditional sense. Instead, liquid light seeped from the cut, a substance that Bristle quickly collected and recycled back into Velsha's system. As Marcus worked deeper into the chest cavity, he saw the full extent of the damage. The shattered gravity organs looked like a broken kaleidoscope, fragments of crystalline structure that still pulsed with residual energy. Each piece was trying to perform its function, but without the complete structure, the attempts were useless in draining Velsha's life force with every failed pulse. I need to remove all the fragments before I can install the replacements, Marcus said. Bristle, I'll need you to monitor her photonic pathways. If you see any signs of cascade failure, tell me immediately. The removal process took 2 hours. Each fragment had to be carefully extracted without damaging the surrounding crystalline tissue. Marcus's hands ached and sweat dripped down his face despite the cool workshop temperature. Velsha remained conscious throughout, her lights dimming further with each removed piece until her chest cavity was empty and dark. Installing the first generator now, Marcus said, his voice steady despite the fear threatening to overwhelm him. He positioned the quantum unit in the space where Velsha's primary gravity organ had been. The generator was designed with crystalline interface points that should, in theory, connect with her existing photonic pathways. The moment he activated the interface, Velshaw's entire body convulsed. Alarm screamed from the medical monitors. Her lights flared brilliant white, then nearly extinguished completely. "She's rejecting it," Dross shouted over the alarms. "Her immune system is treating the generator as a foreign object. We need to shut it down." "No," Marcus said, his mind racing. He stared at the diagnostic screens, watching Velsha's body try to fight the very thing meant to save her. Then he understood. It's not rejection. It's incompatibility. The generator is operating on a fixed frequency, but her body resonates at variable frequencies. "Bristle, I need you to help me make this generator breathe." "Breathe." Bristle's quills flattened in confusion. "Luminae crystalline structures aren't static," Marcus explained, his hands already working to modify the generator's output protocols. "They pulse and shift. The generator needs to do the same. It needs to match her natural rhythms." Working together, Marcus and Bristle reprogrammed the quantum generator to operate in waves rather than at a constant output. They built invariants made it responsive to the surrounding crystalline tissue. It was like teaching a machine to have a heartbeat. When they reactivated the modified generator, the change was immediate. Velshaw's convulsions stopped. Her lights, which had nearly gone dark, began to pulse again, stronger than before. The generator glowed in her chest, its light mingling with her own, creating patterns neither fully mechanical nor fully organic. "It's working," Dross whispered, and Marcus heard the awe in his voice. Marcus installed the second generator with the same modifications, and watched as both units synchronized with each other and with Velsha. The crystalline tissue around the generators began to grow, not rejecting the foreign objects but embracing them, incorporating them into her structure. "Her photonic pathways are rerouting," Bristle said, studying her instruments with wide eyes. "She's adapting to the generators at a cellular level. I have never seen anything like this." Marcus stepped back from the surgical platform, exhausted but unable to look away from what they had created. Velsha was transforming before their eyes, her crystalline body accepting the mechanical additions and making them her own. Light pulsed through her chest in new patterns, a dance of organic and synthetic that created something entirely unique. "How do you feel?" Marcus asked softly. Velsha's lights brightened, and her voice, which had been weak for so long, resonated through the workshop with new strength. "I feel wrong. I feel different. I feel alive." The surgery was complete, but the real test was just beginning. Velsha would need days to fully integrate with her new hybrid organs. She would need to learn to control gravitational forces through technology rather than biology, and in 3 days the Lumini delegation would arrive, ready to take her away. Marcus looked at Captain Santos, who had been watching from the doorway. "Can you keep this quiet?" Santos smiled grimly. "I can keep anything quiet if the reason is good enough. But you better make sure this works, Webb. Because if it doesn't, we've all just ended our careers for nothing." "It will work," Marcus said, looking at Velsha's pulsing lights. "It has to." The celestial dance Velsha woke on the second day after surgery with a sensation she had never experienced before. Her gravity organs had always felt like extensions of herself, as natural as breathing. These new mechanical replacements felt foreign yet familiar, like wearing someone else's skin that had somehow been tailored to fit perfectly. "The integration is proceeding faster than I anticipated," Marcus said, studying the diagnostic readouts that monitored her new organs. "Your body is not just accepting the generators, it's actively incorporating them into your crystalline structure." Velsha concentrated on the quantum generators in her chest. When she had possessed her original organs, manipulating gravity had required only intention. She thought about direction and force, and her body responded. With these mechanical replacements, there was a delay, a translation period while her photonic pathways communicated with the technological systems. She focused on the small maintenance drone hovering near the ceiling of Marcus's workshop. In her previous life, she could have sent it drifting across the room with barely a thought. Now she reached for it with her new organs and felt the quantum generators respond. The gravitational field formed around the drone, but it was crude, unfocused. The drone jerked sideways, crashed into a wall, and clattered to the floor. "I am broken," Velsha said, her lights flickering with distress. "These machines do not respond as they should." "You're not broken," Marcus replied firmly. "You're learning. What you're doing is like learning to walk on new legs. Your brain knows how to send the signals, but your body has to figure out how to interpret them through the generators. Over the next hours, Velsha practiced with increasing desperation. The Luminae delegation would arrive tomorrow, and if she could not prove her capability, they would take her for the dissolution ceremony. She would be returned to the crystal gardens of her homeworld, her consciousness slowly fading until only inert crystal remained. That evening, as station lights dimmed to simulate night cycle, Marcus found Velsha floating in her containment field. Surrounded by dozens of small objects she was attempting to manipulate simultaneously, tools drifted erratically through the air around her, none moving with the grace and precision that Luminae navigators were known for. "You need to rest," Marcus said gently. "Pushing yourself like this could damage the integration." "I am running out of time," Velsha replied, and Marcus heard something he had never detected in her voice before. Fear. "Tomorrow my people will come for me. They will see these machines in my chest and declare me even more void-touched than before. They will not test my abilities. They will simply take me away to die." Marcus was silent for a moment, then asked, "What would it take to prove yourself to them? What test would be considered definitive?" Velsha's lights pulsed, and what Marcus had learned was bitter amusement. "The stellar navigation. It is a test given to navigators who wish to achieve the highest rank. Only 3 in my generation have attempted it, and only 1 succeeded. It requires guiding a ship through the Veyros system." "I know Veyros," Marcus said, his expression darkening. "That system has been collapsing for the last decade. There are gravitational anomalies, stellar debris, quantum fluctuations. Navigation computers cannot plot a safe course through it." "Exactly," Velsha said. "It requires a Luminae navigator at the peak of their abilities. It is a test I could never pass now, even if they would permit me to try." Marcus looked at her, and she saw the same expression that had led him to save her life in the first place. Determination mixed with just enough recklessness to make the impossible seem achievable. "Then we make them permit it. We challenge them directly." The next day, the Luminae delegation arrived on Station Meridian in a ship that seemed grown rather than built. Its hull was translucent crystal that refracted starlight into rainbow patterns. 6 Luminae emerged, all bearing the elaborate crystalline formations that marked them as members of the Navigator caste leadership. Their spokesman was named Kirseth, and his crystalline structure was deep amber, almost golden. He stood in the station's diplomatic hall, looking down at Marcus with an expression that might have been disdain. "You are the human who has interfered with our cultural practices. You have taken one who was void-touched and delayed her proper passage. I have taken someone who wanted to live and given her that chance," Marcus replied, meeting Kirseth's gaze without flinching. "Velsha is alive, functional, and capable. Your culture may declare her worthless, but I have seen her fight to survive. That makes her worth something to me." "What she is worth to you is irrelevant," Kirseth said. "She cannot fulfill her purpose. A navigator who cannot navigate has no place among our people." "Then test her," Marcus said. "Let her attempt the stellar navigation. If she fails, I will not protest her return to your custody. But if she succeeds, you acknowledge her right to live as she chooses." The Luminae delegation exchanged lights, their bodies pulsing with patterns Marcus could not read. Finally, Kirseth spoke again. "The stellar navigation is beyond her even if she possessed her original organs. With those machines in her chest, she has no chance. You are sending her to die." "I am giving her the chance to prove everyone wrong," Marcus replied, "including you." Velsha entered the diplomatic hall, and Marcus saw the delegation's reaction. Horror mixed with fascination. Her chest glowed with the light of the quantum generators, creating patterns no natural Luminae could produce. She was simultaneously more and less than what she had been, and it clearly disturbed her own people. "I claim the right to attempt the stellar navigation," Velsha said, her voice resonating with new harmonics created by the integration of organic and mechanical systems. "By the old laws, any navigator may attempt it. I'm still a navigator." Kirseth looked at her for a long moment, then inclined his head. "Very well. You will have one opportunity. There is currently a supply vessel stranded in Veyros system's outer region. They cannot navigate to safety because of the gravitational anomalies. If you can guide them out, you will have proven your capability. If you fail, you will return with us for dissolution. These are the terms." "I accept," Velsha said immediately. Marcus accompanied her to the modified shuttle they would use for the attempt. Over the past 3 days, while Velsha practiced with her new abilities, Marcus had been retrofitting a small ship with enhanced monitoring equipment. He would not be able to fly with her into the collapsing system, but he could track her progress and maintain communication throughout. Before she departed, Marcus performed one final check of the quantum generators. The systems are stable, but you'll be pushing them beyond anything we tested. If you feel any sign of overload, abort immediately. Living as you are now is better than dying to prove a point. Marcus, Velsha said, and her lights pulsed with colors he had never seen before. You gave me back my life. Now let me show them what that life can become. The shuttle launched from Station Meridian with Velsha at the navigation controls. Marcus watched from the station's operations center, surrounded by monitors that tracked her progress. Captain Santos stood beside him, arms crossed. This is either the bravest or the stupidest thing I have witnessed in my career. Possibly both. Those tend to be the same thing, Marcus replied. Velsha's shuttle approached Vero's system, and Marcus saw the sensor readings that made conventional navigation impossible. The system's primary star was in the late stages of collapse, generating gravitational waves that warped space unpredictably. Debris from destroyed planets created maze-like hazards that shifted constantly. Quantum fluctuations caused random spatial distortions. Every instrument on Marcus's board screamed warnings about the hazards ahead. Through the communication link, he heard Velsha's voice, calm and focused. I am entering the outer boundary now. The stranded vessel is located near the 4th orbital debris field. I can sense the path, but it shifts moment to moment. Your generators are already at 40% output, Marcus warned, watching the power readings. Pace yourself. Lumine navigation is not about power, Velsha replied. It is about feeling the currents and flowing with them. I may have machines in my chest, but the principle remains the same. Marcus watched as Velsha's shuttle dove deeper into the collapsing system. Her flight path looked chaotic on the monitors, weaving and spiraling in patterns that seemed random. But as he studied the gravitational maps, he began to understand. She was not fighting the anomalies. She was using them. A Lumine navigator with organic gravity organs could sense and manipulate gravitational fields instinctively. Velsha's hybrid nature gave her something different. The quantum generators provided raw power and precision that organic organs could not match, while her crystalline structure gave her the sensitivity to feel the subtle variations in the gravitational landscape. Together they created a synergy neither system could achieve alone. She is navigating better than any natural lumini, Dross said, appearing at Marcus's shoulder. Look at her response time. She is predicting changes in the gravitational field before they fully manifest. Marcus saw it too. Velsha was not just reacting to the hazards around her. She was anticipating them, using the computational power of her quantum generators to process gravitational data faster than organic thought. She was becoming something new. Something that combined the best aspects of both biological and mechanical navigation. Generator output at 60%, Marcus called. You're halfway to the stranded vessel. The next obstacle appeared on sensors as a gravitational vortex, a rotating anomaly that pulled everything nearby into an inescapable spiral. The stranded supply vessel had been caught at the edge of this vortex, unable to escape but not yet pulled to destruction. I see them, Velsha reported. They are trapped in a stable orbit, but the vortex is growing. They will be pulled in within the hour. Can you reach them? Yes, but extracting them will require more power than I have used before. The generators will need to operate at maximum output. Marcus looked at the technical specifications he had built into the quantum generators. They were designed to handle brief periods at maximum output, but sustained use could cause overheating or structural failure. You'll have maybe 90 seconds at full power before you risk burnout. Make them count. Velsha's shuttle approached the vortex, and Marcus held his breath as he watched her generator output climb. 70%, 80%, 90%. The quantum units in her chest were generating gravitational forces that would have torn apart a normal lumini. But her hybrid nature, the integration of crystalline tissue and mechanical systems, allowed her to channel power that would have been impossible before. Engaging extraction field now, Velsha said, and Marcus saw both generators surge to 100% output. On the monitors, Marcus watched as Velsha created a gravitational bubble around the stranded vessel. It was a technique that required perfect control and immense power, generating a localized field that counteracted the vortex's pull. The supply vessel began to move slowly at first, then gaining speed as Velsha pulled them away from the spiraling anomaly. Generator temperature critical, Marcus warned. 80 more seconds. The supply vessel broke free from the vortex's influence, and Velsha immediately began guiding both ships back through the maze of gravitational hazards. She was moving faster now, taking risks that made Marcus's heart race. She had to clear the system before her generators failed. 40 seconds, Marcus counted down. Velsha's shuttle and the rescued vessel spiraled through the debris fields. Her navigation was flawless, each movement precise and efficient. The hybrid system was working exactly as Marcus had hoped, combining machine precision with organic intuition. 20 seconds. They cleared the final hazard and entered the safe zone at the system's edge. Powering down generators, Velsha reported, and Marcus saw the output levels dropping back to sustainable levels. Both vessels are secure. Navigation complete. The operations center erupted in cheers. Even Captain Santos was smiling. Marcus sagged against his console, relief washing over him in waves. She had done it. Velsha had proven that her hybrid nature was not a weakness but a strength. When Velsha's shuttle returned to Station Meridian, the Lumini delegation was waiting in the docking bay. Kirseth stood at the front of the group, his amber crystalline structure glowing with complex patterns Marcus could not interpret. Velsha emerged from her shuttle, and for the first time since the surgery she moved with confidence. Her lights pulsed strong and steady, the quantum generators in her chest creating a rhythm that was uniquely hers. "You have completed the stellar navigation," Kirseth said slowly. "You have accomplished what many full-strength navigators could not. And you did so with those machines in your chest." "These machines are part of me now," Velsha replied. "They do not make me less Lumini. They make me different. And perhaps different is exactly what our people need." Kirseth was silent for a long moment. Then, to Marcus's surprise, the delegation leader bowed his head in respect. "You have proven your right to live as you choose. The void has not touched you. It has transformed you into something we do not yet understand. Return to our homeworld if you wish, or remain here among those who saw your value when we did not." Velsha turned to Marcus, and her lights created patterns that seemed to dance with joy. "I think I will stay here if Marcus is willing to help me understand what I have become." "I think we can both learn from each other," Marcus replied. In the weeks that followed, other Lumini came to Station Meridian, navigators who had been declared void-touched, who had lost their abilities to injury or age. They came seeking the human mechanic who had made the impossible possible. They came hoping for second chances. Marcus looked at each case individually, studying their unique circumstances, designing custom solutions. Some received hybrid organs like Velsha. Others needed different approaches, different integrations of technology and biology. Each one was unique, and each one proved that being broken did not mean being finished. Velsha became his partner in this work, using her own experience to help others through the transformation. Together they were changing what it meant to be Lumini, what it meant to be damaged, what it meant to be worthy of life. The station commander asked Marcus one day why he put so much effort into helping people that others had given up on. Marcus thought about Emma, about how one person's refusal to accept impossible had saved her life. He thought about Velsha, about how determination and innovation had created something entirely new. Because, Marcus said simply, broken things can be fixed, and sometimes what comes after the fixing is even better than what came before. Velsha's lights pulsed in agreement, organic and mechanical working in perfect harmony, proof that the human spirit of never giving up could change not just individual lives but entire cultures. The galaxy was vast, full of species with different beliefs and customs. But one thing remained constant across all of them. Hope, when combined with determination, could achieve the impossible. And sometimes all it took was one human mechanic who refused to accept that broken meant the end.